Before the roar of legions, before steel shattered steel on ancient battlefields, there was a war most empires never even saw coming, not against barbarians, not against rival kings, not against the chaos of nature, but against something far more silent, far more merciless. Waste, human waste, 50,000 soldiers, marching through deserts that burned like ovens, mountains that swallowed sound, and foreign lands that never welcomed them. Every single day, for months, their bodies produced what could silently destroy an entire army faster than any enemy blade. And yet, the Roman legions did not collapse. They did not rot in their own camps. They did not vanish under invisible epidemics like so many armies before them. Somehow, they survived. Not through luck, not through divine favor, but through engineering so precise. It turned sanitation into a weapon of empire. In the vast machinery of the Roman Empire, there existed a kind of intelligence most people never think about. Not philosophical, not poetic, but brutally practical. Survival, because Rome understood something other civilizations learned too late. You can win battles with swords, but you win wars with systems. And one of those systems was hidden in plain sight, not in marble temples, not in triumphal arches, but at the edges of every military camp, in the most ignored corner of Roman life. The latrine. Long before a camp was ever built, long before a tent was raised or a fire lit, Rome sent a specialized unit ahead of the army. The mensas. They were not warriors. They were not scouts. They were engineers of survival. Their mission was chilling in its simplicity: design a city that could move. A Roman military camp, known as a castra, was not improvised. It was constructed like a living blueprint that repeated across continents: Gaul, Syria, Britain. Everywhere Rome marched, the same invisible order emerged from chaos. And among their first decisions was something most armies never planned at all. Where does the waste go? Because Rome knew what others ignored: an army can survive an enemy, but it cannot survive itself. So latrines were always placed with surgical precision. Downhill from sleeping quarters, downwind from living spaces, far from water sources. Even without modern science, Rome had learned through centuries of death and observation that sickness travels where filth stays. Now imagine it. You are a Roman soldier. Dust clings to your skin. Your armor is heavy. Your breath is slow after a long march. Then suddenly, the camp begins to rise. It is not chaos. It is choreography. Tents snap into place like a living grid. Standards are raised. Fire pits aligned. Supply zones marked with precision. And at the far edge, something else appears. Stone structures. Wooden beams. A long trench cut deep into the earth, the latrine. There is no privacy. No separation. Just rows of stone seats suspended above darkness. Beneath them, water flows, constant, controlled, engineered, not still water, never still. Because Rome had learned something others had not yet understood: stillness breeds death. So streams were redirected, channels carved, flow enforced. Waste never stayed. It moved, it disappeared. It was erased from the living world. And above it all, soldiers sat side by side, not as individuals, but as part of something larger. The machine of Rome. While other armies feared the enemy across the field, Rome feared collapse from within. At frontier forts like Hadrian's Wall, the system was perfected. Water entered from controlled sources. Used water exited through engineered drainage. Nothing stagnated long enough to become deadly. Even on campaign, when stone could not be built, trenches replaced architecture. Rules replaced structure. No soldier relieved himself outside designated zones. Discipline extended even into biology. Because Roman commanders understood something simple but terrifying: an army does not die only by being defeated. It dies quietly, while waiting for disease, waiting for contamination, waiting for its own body to betray it. And Rome refused to wait for death. But beneath all this engineering, there was something human: trust. A soldier marching into foreign land did not just trust his shield or his sword. He trusted that his leaders had already thought of everything he could not see, that the water he drank would not poison him, that the ground he slept on would not slowly kill him, that even his most private vulnerability had been accounted for. Because in Rome, survival was not an accident. It was a promise, and behind that promise was discipline so strict it bordered on obsession. But even systems as powerful as Rome are not immortal. As centuries passed, the structure began to fracture. The Western Empire weakened. Training declined. Standards slipped. The meticulous flow of water became inconsistent. The strict placement of latrines became optional. What was once doctrine became memory. And like all forgotten systems, the consequences returned. Disease followed disorder. Armies weakened not in battle, but in camp. What Rome had once mastered slowly slipped back into chaos. And yet, the knowledge never truly vanished. In the 19th century, a woman walking through military hospitals would rediscover it in a different form. Florence Nightingale saw something ancient Rome already understood. Soldiers were not dying from wounds alone. They were dying from what surrounded them afterward. Dirty water, contaminated air, improper waste management. Her reforms: clean environments, ventilation, sanitation control, echoed Roman military doctrine almost word for word. Without knowing it, she was rebuilding a system the world had forgotten. So when we think of Rome, we imagine legions, emperors, conquests carved into history. But the real foundation of its power was quieter. It was built in trenches no one celebrated, in water channels no poet described, in systems no enemy could destroy with a sword, because Rome did not just fight wars. It fought decay. It fought collapse. It fought the invisible enemy that destroys all armies in the end. And for centuries, it won. So ask yourself, if survival depends not only on strength, but on systems we never notice, what modern, invisible systems are holding our world together today? And more importantly, what happens when they fail?